Leadership isn't just changing, it's evolving in ways we're only just beginning to imagine. And women, we're not playing this game anymore. We're the ones reshaping the entire field, building models, movements, and businesses that serve more than just a few. On the She Leads podcast, you'll hear real conversations with women who've broken through all kinds of barriers: revenue, identity, borders, and expectations. There's no sugarcoating here, just the truth, told by those who are living it. I'm Adrienne Garland, entrepreneur, strategist, educator, and creator of live experiences, gathering women leaders together for over a decade. And this is the She Leads podcast. Hi, everybody, and welcome back to the She Leads podcast. I'm very excited to introduce my next guest to you. Her name is Amy Nubson, and she's the CEO of Nufire Collective. Nufire Collective combines personal and business growth along with business consulting. Amy started Nufire Collective after she developed a method of rediscovering herself using her 3 C's: clarity, courage, and confidence, to rebuild herself after almost losing it all, brought on by juggling too many roles, terrible clients, and following the advice of others who may not have had her best interests in mind. I can totally relate to that. Amy believes that in order to succeed in life, we need to be clear about who we are and what we want. Part of that success are the stories that we tell ourselves and others. But once we know ourselves, we can collaborate with others. And when we join forces, it allows us to stop being isolated and gives us the courage to take larger action to achieve greater success. Welcome to the She Leads podcast, Amy.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here and talk about all the things we can talk about as entrepreneurs.
I love it. It's what I talk about, I feel like, every single day. I am just obsessed with entrepreneurship, and I think I have been for, I guess it's about 15 years now. It's probably a lot longer than that. But I actually want to start because we were laughing a little bit before we got on here. I sort of have this vision of you, like Amy rising from the ashes, right? To then go out and help everybody. And sometimes we do need to suffer in order to see the lesson, and then we can help others. So let's maybe wind it back. I don't want to resurface any painful memories, but I
Mhm.
think so many of us can relate to like just juggling too many things, listening to people that don't have our best interests in mind, and like trying something new because we're experimental. And then, oh my gosh, we're faced with like loans and no money and no prospects. So let's wind it back to there, Amy.
That's a good summary. Yes. So there was a moment where I found myself crying in my office, like tears were running down. It was that beautiful morning, like when the snow just starts to fall and it's just beautiful and dancing. And I was just sitting there mesmerized. I couldn't stop staring at the snow.
Hmm.
And I didn't even realize, and then eventually it got dark in my office. I had been staring almost all day at the snow. I was just too frozen to do
Mm,
anything. And I had come to and realized that I'm like, I don't want to go home.
yeah.
Like I couldn't bring myself to go home. And as I sat there in that day and I'm like, how did I get here?
Yeah.
What did I what could I have done differently? Like what is happening?
Yeah.
Right? Everything I had thought I knew had gotten flipped upside down. And it all started with a phone call.
Mm.
And that day, what triggered me that morning was a client had demanded a refund. And I was like,
Oh God.
with what money? I have
Yeah.
nothing
Yeah.
left. There's
Yeah.
and and I got it. I'm like, I totally get it. My husband, who is my business partner, had been involved in a car accident and was unable to work.
Mm.
And the work wasn't getting done. But when you don't realize how vulnerable you really are, things can go so quickly, so fast, so bad. Like,
Yes.
and that phone call, it literally had started my life that flipped upside down was the ambulance calling me and saying, Your husband is fine. Don't worry, but come meet him at the hospital." And that isn't the case. We were denied car insurance. Our car insurance denied us.
Oh my
We
gosh.
were six figures of medical debt within 6 months.
Mhm.
And we were in a lawsuit that I never wanted to be in.
Mm.
And my husband couldn't work or walk. So I'm like, now I'm primary caretaker. I don't know how to deal with everything. Everything I learned about myself, like keep your head down, work really hard, did not matter. And so I had to reflect on me.
Mm.
What did I do? And God, I wanted to blame my husband so bad, like on all the problems like we were having. I'm like, it's his fault. He was in the accident. No, it
Mm.
was what could I take control of? And part of it was my money mindset. It was
Mm.
the idea I believed that money was always readily available. So don't worry about it. Just spend it and more money will come. You could always make more money,
Yeah.
which is a great idea until there is no money coming in. Like,
Right.
and if you have no nest egg, no savings, no comprehension of how money works, it was gone quickly. And so that was one thing I realized. The other thing I realized is I had created my entire business around my husband's skill set.
Mm.
It wasn't what I wanted. It wasn't what I wanted to create for myself. So I left with this shell of a company I didn't want, and I was angry.
Yeah.
So it's amazing how quickly you could lose everything, but then find the greatest gift in it by finding your own journey. And I had to really figure out who I was, what I wanted, and a lot of hard truths about myself came out from that discovery.
How did you do that? Was that something that you said, like, "I need to figure this out on my own"? Did you get help from someone else? How did you sort of approach that? Because oftentimes when we are in that situation, we're the ones that are in the situation. We can't outthink ourselves. We oftentimes need an outside perspective. So how did you start to approach that?
A lot of it I did myself in the beginning because I was very proud and I was
As
very
we all are.
stubborn because, right?
As
And I
we
was
all
like,
are.
I can totally do this. I was a farm kid. I wasn't used to asking for help. So I did a lot of the hard work myself, which took longer,
Mhm.
right? And then I wanted to, when everything shut down in 2020, I was like, well, here's the time to work on a fear. And one of my greatest fear was public speaking. And so I was like, I'll sign up, I'll do this class. And I went through it. I like cried all the way through my first speech, like literally snot and everything. It was awful. And, but what I learned about it was stories you tell yourself and the stories that are happening, there's always a thread back to somewhere.
Mhm.
And by learning the craft of storytelling allowed me to look back at my history and go, why? Oh my goodness, this is why. And I never put the two together. And like my success mindset started in childhood. And
Mhm.
my success was because I was a farm kid. And as a farm kid, you get up in the morning at 5 a.m., you go to the barn, we're talking Wisconsin. So in the middle of the winter, it's 20, 30 below, and you're milking cows with no heat in the barn.
No, thank
And
you.
you're like, right. You know, like who can what 8-year-old's like, yeah, go. I'll totally go down there. For me, it didn't matter if you had a broken leg, which I've had it, or a broken arm, you still had to do chores because the animals were depending on you. So for me, success equaled sacrifice.
Yeah.
My emotional or physical needs did not matter.
Right, you just had to get the job done.
Exactly. So what did I do in business?
Mm.
Success equals sacrifice. I sacrificed my own needs and wants for my husband's. I put myself in the hospital 3 times from overexhaustion and work. I mean, I've done it all. I'm like, dude, I really, really made that happen.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
but it
we
wasn't
do
until
we
storytelling.
we do
Yeah,
do that to ourselves, and oftentimes we're our own worst enemy, and you would think that after maybe 2 times
right? You
that we
think
would learn
I
our lesson. Yeah.
yeah, and you're like, logically, you know it. You know it's
Yeah.
a silly thing, And you're like, "Why does this still keep happening?"
Mhm.
And it wasn't until I got to, like when I learned storytelling and started looking back at it, I'm like, "Oh my goodness, this is my script.
Yeah. So how did you
This is."
change that story that you were sort of telling yourself that, at all costs, and even including your health,
Right?
that the business or, the work must go on, right? How did you change
Yeah.
it to say, "No, that doesn't work anymore?"
Yeah, because you could probably obviously tell I had no boundaries in
Mhm.
life, and I'm terrible at saying no. So, first thing I had to learn is to say no. How do I get comfortable with that? So, it was like
Mhm.
little steps. And the next thing was like, what are my boundaries? How do I hold them? So, I had to learn these skills that I'm like, I wish I would have learned them as a child, of course. But then the next thing was when I started telling my stories, I started to heal them or I started to hear them more frequently and recognize them and when they were happening in the moment and going, wait, I know what's happening here. I may not be able to change my instinct of what I want to do, but I can make a different choice. And
Yeah.
that's where that courageous action happens. It's like, I really want to do this because this is what I know, but it will not serve me. I have to make a different choice, even though it's scary and uncomfortable.
Well, I think it's so funny the this work ethic, if you will, is definitely, puritanical. It's how this country started, right? Work hard and get results. And, it does work. It works until it doesn't work
Till it
anymore.
doesn't.
Yeah, and so it's almost like you run this play over and over again. It's so well worn that it's very difficult to, step out of it because that trench it's so deep. And I think so many
Yeah,
women can relate to this because we have been told, I don't know if the stories that are being told now are any different, but certainly when we were growing up, we were told to work hard, keep our head down, don't stand out, right?
don't.
Don't try to be better than anyone else. Just work really hard and you will eventually get recognized. And then you don't it turned out that we didn't get recognized, right? And it turned out we burned out. And
Yes.
so many people, this hard work, it did lead them to incredible success, right? There are many people that have $1,000,000, multi-million dollar businesses because of exactly what you're talking about. And, it doesn't matter where your business gets to. If you're just working hard, you are definitely not making the right strategic moves. And it seems like
Yeah.
what you're saying is that it goes back to, well, what are the stories that we're telling ourselves?
Yes. Yeah, the stories we tell ourselves are almost more important than the stories we say out loud,
Yes,
right? So the story that I believed when I was a kid that I was a farm, dairy farmer. So therefore I would never like I could only achieve so much success because
right.
I'd been like that's where I could go. Like
Right.
I
That was
had
your
put this weird
identity.
ceiling, yeah,
Yes.
on myself and I hated being a farm kid. Like I'm not a country person at all.
Yeah.
But still, there was that element that I was just like, "This is where I'm from the country." I did have a great like, I was in a private education, I didn't have access to millionaires, like,
Right.
it just had all these stories in my head that I'm like, "Because of this, I can't achieve higher than this point."
Yeah. It's almost like you
Uh
used that story as a ceiling to keep yourself safe, whereas
Yep.
maybe someone else could have been telling the same story, but could have said, and I want to get out. Right. And
Yes.
right. And so that I think is the critical difference, the difference maker.
Yeah, because there's moments in my life, I remember I was telling my dad I was gonna go to a university, he goes, "You're not smart enough to go to a
Oh,
university."
thanks, Dad.
I don't
That's
I know, and
real encouragement right there.
right? And I was like, "Watch me,"
Yeah.
like and I graduated with high honors.
Amazing. Oh gosh.
But so some of those times you're like, "I can overachieve this," and you can use it to fuel you, and I did it
Yes.
first in the first point to, like, prove 'em wrong, and then I actually started to love what I was doing. And I
Mm,
just naturally got great grades because I found something I loved.
right. Yeah.
But yeah, it's not this it's just if I would have accepted that story and then played it over and over in my head, I would have done really poor in college, and I may have to had a different life.
So let's talk about how what you sort of help people with, because this podcast is all about, practical tips for what people can do, especially women, right? Like we are all
Yes.
about women, entrepreneurs, leaders, we're all leaders. How can we take the right actions, have the right mindset, surround ourselves with the right people in order to live a life that is meaningful to us and that we can take care of ourselves, quite frankly. So how do you sort of help people, because I think so many people get stuck in this this maladaptive story. So how do you get people out of that?
Well, the first thing I usually do is say that your personal life matters just as much as your business life. Your
Mm,
personal goals, your wants, your needs. And then when I work with people as a coach, I'm like, tell me your personal goals. And they're like, but we're talking about business. I go, I need to know where you want to go personally because that's your motivator.
yep.
That's what we're trying to achieve. And sometimes I realized in the beginning of my career, I lost sight of that.
Mhm.
I did what everybody else told me I should be doing.
Right.
And so, and I was taught too. And when I started my business young. I was 24 when I started my business.
Good for you. That's
Thank you.
bold
I
right
was
there. Yeah.
right. I was absolutely a horrible employee as a corporate because I'm like, I hate every moment of this. And I realized it
Yes.
wasn't for me. And I didn't fit. But I also had to figure it out all because I was so young. And I was told to act like a corporation.
Mm,
To all my goals should have been like I should have had employees and a brick and mortar office, and I rejected all of that. I was an early adapter to virtual teams and,
mm.
I was working from home most of
Electronic
my career.
mail.
I know, right? I was in college when I got my first email. Um,
Yeah.
you know, um, but I was an early adapter to technology. Zoom, I've been using it for over 10 years. Like
Wow.
it's one of those things where it was or however long it's been, I don't know, but it feels like forever. When I looked at what I wanted to create for myself, I didn't want to be stuck in a location. I love traveling. I travel all over. We go away for the winter. We've been doing that for 10 years. And I was like, I can't do that if I have an office and employees in space with me. So I started creating my business really quickly around myself after that accident because the personal goals mattered. And that drove me very clearly. The other thing I tell people is what is your money mindset? Because when I was first in at 24, financials was my worst element of business. I didn't understand how it worked. I didn't know how to do accounting. I didn't know any of it.
Mhm.
And now almost all my clients in the marketing field are all CPAs and financial people. And
That's
they're
so
like, "How do
funny.
you know all this?" And I'm like, "I learned it." Like,
Yeah.
so
Well, I
what
think
a switch.
so many women, and I think it starts young and it's so unfortunate. So many women are sort of pushed off of the math path, right? And
Yes.
it's so unfortunate because it's not as complicated as everybody makes it seem, and then women lose their confidence around math, and then they lose their confidence around financials, and then, investing and everything, and all of these things are so unfortunate, and I do feel like it's a weird societal thing that kind of keeps women in a certain place, and I think we need to reject that and do exactly what you did and educate ourselves on everything having to do with math and finance and investments. It's the only way that we are going to be able to influence positivity in this world. Know your numbers. I say that to everybody all the time.
Yes, I completely agree. You have to know your numbers because I always say the stories we live by in our head, our numbers tell a different story
Yep.
and they kind of need to match. When they're not
Mhm.
matching, there's something wrong. There's a disconnect. There's something you're not paying attention to,
Yeah.
you know? And that's why I always love my numbers are my balancer,
Yeah.
and I pay
They're
attention
neutral.
to it now. They're neutral,
Yeah.
yeah. They're just telling us one element of what's happening, and
Mhm.
usually it's like a health check. Like,
Right.
how healthy are you?
Right.
That's your
Right.
number, right? And, for a long time, it was that first hurdle early in my career was that I know you talked about $1,000,000, but my first hurdle was getting over 100,000. You're like, I can't do that. Oh
Right.
my God, that
Sounds
first
like a
hurdle is
big
like,
number. Yeah.
right? And you're like, it's not a big number. Like, it
Mm-mm.
really isn't.
Yeah.
And whatever you feel like that cap is, that'll be the hardest number to hit. And when I
Yeah,
talk to
that's
people about
yeah.
$1,000,000, they're like, I can't do that. I'm like, why can't you?
Hey everyone. So, for years, I've been working with Dr. Kent and sending people in my network his way. He does so much impact work. What do I mean by that? Well, he helps people create books and podcasts and things like that. He even helps with this podcast behind the scenes. Dr. Kent is my thought partner. Anyone listening knows that we all need to do what we can to get our thoughts, opinions, and voices out into the world, and how important it is for women to invest in other women and for women to hire other women. I am all about that, and you all know that. But in this case, I think Dr. Kent is an exception. He's doing something really different via this new program that he's launched called the Genius Discovery Program. So he wants to work with people like me and like you who are impact driven. Dr. Kent has an intensive program that goes for a month. He also has a 3-month program where he figures out where you're headed with your brand, your business, your speaking, and your signature story as a thought leader. I've known Dr. Kent for a long time. So believe me when I say that he has a ton of experience working with people that are looking to make an impact but might not know exactly how to approach that. So if you're interested in talking to him, you can go directly to talktokent.com, or you can send me a DM on Instagram at She Leads Media, or just shoot me an email over at hello@sheleadsmedia.com. It's really funny. I was listening to there's such an amazing woman. She has a podcast. Her name is Jessica Fernley, and she has a podcast called The Seven Figure Consultant. And she's so lovely. She's, British, and she just sounds so beautiful. And she was talking about how she works with, a lot of consultants. She helps people to do 7, 8-figure consulting businesses. And she said that lately she has been she always used to set goals with people, but lately she's kind of been backing off of setting these goals, and that they are focusing a little bit more on like the energy of it all, because she said
Mhm.
she set a goal with a client to I think achieve like $250,000 in revenue for the year. And she said she started working with her and everything like that. And then the woman achieved $100,000 in her first month. So the $250,000 goal became so unrealistic, right? And
Yes.
so sometimes you think that a goal is a stretch goal when it's actually not, and then you put a ceiling on that instead of being open to the possibilities. I thought that was a wild
Yeah.
story. I loved it.
Yeah, I look at, like, percentages of growth. I look at growth
Mm,
numbers, like, are we moving up? Are we trending up? If we're
right,
trending down, why? Why are we trending
right.
down? Like, so I like to look at it as more of a narrative than, like, a cap,
Yes.
or because there's always potential if you're growing up.
Yeah.
And even if it's small, it's still going up. That's the whole goal. And I agree, the energy of money and achieving sometimes small wins can keep compiling, and eventually it gets bigger and bigger.
Mm,
And for me and my husband, like, we never wanted to be a $5 million company because that means a lot of employees. That means, like, that means a different look, right?
yes.
So you have to
Yes.
find that sweet spot of like, what does it look like and what is comfortable there?
Right,
What's
and what do you
achievable?
want? What is, like, your definition of success? There's another book that I want to just recommend for everybody, and the reason that I have this book on my mind is because my conference this past Friday, we had Oh, we had such a fun panel. I do it every single year. It's called Pitch the Media. And one of the women that was on the panel, she's a journalist and she's also an author. And she wrote this book called The $1 Million One Person Business. And at the time, which is a couple years ago now, that kind of seemed a little revolutionary, right? But if you think about it, you outsource people, you have contractors. But now with AI, a $1 million one person business is very achievable. And when you just said like a $5 million business, lots of employees, I wonder,
Yeah,
even
things are
that
changing.
things are changing.
Yeah,
It might be possible to be a two-person $5 million business.
it might be, and that's the definitely the challenge of today is how things are changing, and how do you have I feel like there's not as much to reference, right? Like, this was the
Right.
norm, but now how do we measure the norm?
Mhm.
And as a marketer over 25 years now, I've had to watch trends and adapt and adjust and try to get ahead of trends as things are going. And I've seen a lot of business owners that are like scared. And I'm like, don't worry,
Yeah.
I've weathered this many times. As a marketer, I'm well practiced.
Yes.
Like, but I know a lot of you haven't had to do these massive changes. And
Yeah.
it's come down to me is I will adapt always. What am I wanting to adapt to? And being very clear what that adaptation means.
Mm.
And then I go all in, right?
Mm.
Because
I love
sometimes
that.
AI for me, I think is an amazing tool, but I don't want to get lost in it. I
Right.
need to keep that personal side of things and that the stories, and I need to be me in it. So
Mm.
there's certain elements I refuse to let AI be a part of. And there's some elements I'm like, of course it can take care of that element. No big deal.
Right.
We've all
It's
been
a
doing it with
tool.
Calendly. That's been our
Exactly.
AI forever. Like Grammarly has been my AI tool forever because I
Yep.
can't spell very well. So, it's like we've been using it secretly, not identifying it as AI.
Yeah, and I was listening to something yesterday and someone said that, AI has been around for like God knows how many years, like not just 10 years, something like 50 years, right? In different iterations and forms, especially when you think of it as like machine intelligence, right? It
Yeah.
has been around for quite some time. So it's not anything new. It's just that it's evolved to this place. And there's no evidence that AI actually delivers ROI, but we're like in a frenzy about it.
Well, and there was a proof for a while, like social media didn't do ROI, right? But we all still
Exactly.
did it.
Right.
So it's one of those things you have to make choices. And again, you have to go back to your numbers and understand what your numbers are telling you. What is, where are you going? Where are
Right.
you choosing to be? And and as I've been evolving, I'm starting to recognize, and I've been in the business a while, like collaboration is key to small business
Mm,
success. We need
mm,
to reach out and have people connections and collaboration opportunities to get noticed or to get in front of a different audience, maybe. Or is it so? There's going to be, I believe the next trend is going to be collaboration because AI is
mm,
going to replace some of the automation of simple tasks, but we're going to need the human connection
mm.
element back, and that'll be the
Ooh.
collaboration.
I love this. I totally agree with you. Collaboration, community, right? Like
Yeah.
getting back to the human part of it, not completely getting rid of the technology and the automation part of it, but even in like the events that I do, so many people do virtual events and they're great and they have their place. I never really liked them and I did them myself because I felt like I sort of had to, but I don't like them. And then, last week we were all together in person and there is just something that you cannot put your finger on that when women gather together and some select men that we love, magic happens. And I do think that that's almost the first step, like the community and realizing that we have a lot of things in common. And then where are those points of intersection so that we can, like you're saying, collaborate. And I think that, I mean, I would love to talk to you about that more because I think that that's something that women do very naturally. And we've almost been, I don't know if we've been discouraged from doing that in the business world, but I even love like the name of your company and then some of the other things that you do. You have collective appended to the end of it. Can you just talk
Yes.
about that more?
Yeah, so I used to be Nufire marketing, and one morning I woke up like 2 o'clock in the morning and I went, "I need to be Nufire Collective." Like, it was, like, that crystal clear. I was like,
Wow.
"Alright," and I changed my name the next week. It was it was so clear to me because what it was for me, it was an energetic shift of marketing is one directional,
Yes.
right? I'm helping somebody with transactions, and I'm good at marketing, but it's not what I love. I don't like the transactional piece. I like people, and I
Yeah.
like figuring out the problems and solving the puzzles and helping the growth go, and my mind just kinda goes beyond that.
Right.
And I was like, "How do I explain that?" And I was like, "Collective."
Mm.
Because that opens the door up to these collaborations that I've been creating, and I do have them in other I'm actually in the process of 3 collaborations, right?
Mm.
Some are massive, some are really like one event, right? Like,
Yeah.
but we're coexisting in an event, and next summer, Women Getting Visible and Nufire Collective are presenting together in Minneapolis.
Mm.
So, I go, "The beauty is both we have value and the same personalities." I'm like, "Oh my god, this will be amazing to do an event together with somebody I know that will show up, do the work, help me out, and we can both work together on
Yeah.
this."
Oh,
Because
and
you know how
that's
much they
so
are.
important. It's so much work.
There's so much work. They're so fulfilling, but they are so much work.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so
I
having
love that.
somebody there in your back corner is going that's cheering you on where you're like, "I'm having a shitty day."
Right.
You're like "And I can't I just
Yes.
don't wanna do this." They're like,
Yep.
"You got this, Amy." That's what you
Or
need.
or how about this? I'll add one little thing to this that I've realized now over this past year. Some of the things that we do that we think we must do when it comes to events, and this probably extends to life. But some of the things that we do that we think we must do, we do not have to do, and nobody cares.
Nobody cares or even knows that it goes wrong.
That's right.
They
So,
really
like,
don't, unless you make a big
pressure.
deal out of it.
Yep. Pressure valve release. I mean, I'm even talking, I mean, I guess it depends on how big an event or gathering is, but, I'm talking about even name tags.
Li
Like,
Yeah,
what do we
little
even need?
things.
Yeah, why do we need name tags when we're introducing ourselves to one another and we wanna get to know that person not by looking at their name on their chest, but who they let's look deeper than the tag on their chest. Let's look into their heart and their soul and who they are as human beings, and then maybe you'll remember their name.
Yeah, and I mean, even the shift of events has really been really nice to see too, is we do wanna learn, but we also want an opportunity to interact, to try things
Yes.
out, to
Oh, yeah.
experience in person, right? And
Mhm.
seeing that shift in events has really been a nice shift because 'cause I've been wanting and trying to get that into existence for a really long time.
Yep.
And I'm like, "Oh, it's finally here." But that's what we're looking for is we don't need to be talked at all the
No.
time.
No.
We wanna be involved,
Yes.
and we wanna talk to the speakers, have an opportunity to ask questions. I just went to an event in Washington, DC. My opening hook, I completely forgot to finish.
Oh,
Not
no.
one person asked me about it. It's just like
Yeah.
they're like, "That was amazing," and I'm like, It wasn't until 4 o'clock that afternoon, I was like, "I forgot the hook
Oh,
response."
well.
Oh,
Oh,
well,
well.
nobody seemed to care, I didn't notice, you know? Like, you
Yeah.
know, that's the thing is it was me being me on the stage.
Yeah.
It was me connecting with the audience. It had nothing to d I mean, I always say, like, you can mess up so much, but as long as you're authentic on the stage and you're excited and you are connecting, who
Yeah.
cares?
It's
And
funny that goes against a lot of, and, I don't know, like, a lot of marketing
uh
advice, and
right, and I'm a marketer.
I know, I get it, but
Yeah,
I agree. I think it creates almost like a deeper level of trust when you don't create a false sense of urgency, and almost like in your opening where we were talking about listening to people that might not have your best interest in mind and taking you down their path instead of your
yes.
path. You know, that's created by that false sense of urgency, doing things in a formulaic way that quote unquote works. I
Yeah,
really like recoil at those type of marketing tactics, and I tried
yep,
them because I said to myself, you know, it seems like they're being successful, but I do know that it also creates distrust, and it creates anger, and it creates something post, post marketing tactic that cannot be
yep.
repaired.
It comes with a cost.
It
It
does.
really does. And
Yeah.
it's a fear tactic, right?
Yep.
And I'm a big-hearted person, so I've never done the fear tactic. And people wanted it, I'm like, "I'm not your person. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I will not do it.
Yeah.
I know how, but I'm
Yeah.
not doing it."
Yeah.
And that's the same thing we need to remember too is when we're giving a speech or if we're giving an event, people actually do want you to succeed. Like, they're
Yes.
there cheering you on. They're not waiting for you to fail.
No.
So, it's like it's not our intention to be like, "Yeah, let's see." No, they're not doing that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we can see the bravery and the vulnerability and the effort, and we
Yeah.
can cheer that on, and that's what I love about live events is it can be expressed instantaneously, which is not what you do typically if you post a video. You have
Right.
to wait to find that information out.
Mm.
So, in person is still important no matter
Very
how much AI
important.
replace. It's gonna be
Yeah.
important.
It's more important than ever, and, it's also the recognition that it's difficult to arrange our lives and to get out and, commit to going to an event because it is a commitment, the transportation to get there, the outfit that you're, selecting, the shower that you have to take before you go.
Right?
It's
Sometimes I'm
all.
like, "Oh, I have to put makeup on."
Exactly.
Like
And it's effort, but I do think that the effort is well worth it.
Ah,
Before my event, I went to a very good friend that holds a women's entrepreneurship event as well, and it's different than mine. She really focuses, and I love it, she focuses on sort of, like, masterminding with the different people that you don't know, so that it really, like, whatever you're listening to and learning it, that it really sinks in. And I was so busy because of my conference and everything, and, I just love her, and I'm like, I wanna go, well, for myself, but also, to support her and everything. And I I was so happy that I went because I met incredible people,
yeah,
and it reinforced for me, you know what? This is worth it, and this is what it feels like as an attendee who's coming to
yeah.
my conference. So, like, I know
Mhm.
what that feels like, and I know the effort that it takes, and then the effort then translates into, like, relationship building, and that's a beautiful thing. And I love that, this idea of the collective,
Yep.
it's so important for women, and I think it's a new business model that hopefully will emerge and be something that is profitable and sustainable and viable. So, I'm gonna keep my eye
Yeah.
on you
Thank you.
and what you're
Yes.
doing, because I think more women would feel a greater comfort level being in business if they knew that there was somebody else that was maybe not a co-founder, maybe not a partner, but somebody that's just kind of there with you that you're all rising together.
Well, and that's the beauty of we've always had mentors, but the idea now is to have, collaborators that are at our same level, right? They
Yeah.
are, they're not a because we always kind of put mentors above us, like they've achieved something, right? But
Yes.
these are the people all working at the same kind of level we are. And there's something beautiful about that too, because you feel like it's a give and a take relationship,
Yeah.
which is when I think things flow freely and amazing things happen.
Yeah.
And so the collective is that's the whole idea. It's like a circle. It's supposed to be a receive and take kind of thing
Mm.
because there's moments where we need both.
Yeah.
We need money, we need to spend money. Like there's always this back and forth.
Yeah.
There was a beautiful book that I've read that I got introduced to really lately. It's an old book, and it's called The Dollar Needs Me. And
Hmm.
it's an from I think it's from 1905.
Oh my
And
gosh.
I know, right? And reading it, I'm like, okay, interesting concept. The idea that money needs me. Me.
Hmm.
I don't need it. It needs me because in order for it to exist, I have to exchange it somehow. I have to use money. And my
Wow.
money comes in, I have to pay it to other people, or I have to maybe buying a money market savings account. I have to use it. So it needs me to exist.
Gosh, that's
And I'm
so
like,
interesting.
isn't it? And I'm like, that was
Yeah.
such an interesting shift of going, oh,
Oh,
how
we're gonna put that
simple.
book in the show notes, and then maybe we can ask people to write in and talk about some of the insights that they've gotten from it. I love that. I've never even heard of it.
I hadn't either until recently. Somebody's like, you should really read this book. And I'm like, oh, and I've heard of books similar, but this was kind of brilliant. And like I said, it really old. It's like a super easy read because I loved it back
Mm,
then when books just made books not to be fluffy.
right.
I
You know
go,
what
oh,
I love about that this concept is it's like a shift in the power dynamics, right? Because
yes.
we are so this has everything to do with money mindset, but we're so like caught up in the fact that like money is our value and money controls us and we can't live our lives unless we have money. Like no.
No, no, not
Yeah.
at all. Our life will continue if we have money or not, right?
Yeah.
That isn't what sustains us. But we are what makes it exist, which is an interesting, yeah, different shift of that
Mm,
value. Our value is, whatever makes us happy. If it's creating a community, volunteering at the food shelter, if it's, hey, creating jobs for 100 people, whatever that is.
yeah.
For me, it's traveling, seeing the world, getting to
Yeah.
know people from all over the world. I've been to 47 states because I love getting to know different cultures in the United States, right?
I love that.
Yeah. And people are like, there's not other cultures. I'm like, you need to travel more.
Oh my gosh. There's different
So
cultures
many.
from New York to New Jersey, please.
Exactly. I'm
Yeah.
like, you just live in a bubble. But that's the thing is, I didn't like my little bubble, right?
Yeah,
I wanted to see more, experience more. And I made that my success. So
I love
that's what
that.
drives me. And money is just the exchange of making that happen.
So good. Amy, I feel like we could continue to talk and talk and talk because talking about travel, it is also something that I absolutely love and that I get to do as part of some of the other things that I do. But we'll reserve that for part two of this discussion because I definitely want to have you back and talk about maybe how women are creating these collective businesses and how we are all benefiting from it. So I'm going to have you come back in another
Wonderful.
couple of months and we can discuss that more. If people want to get in touch with you, if they want to hire you for coaching, for marketing, for just discussing and collaborating, how can they get in touch with you?
Yeah, so the best way to get in touch with me, I check out my website, of course, is newfire.com, which is NU is my last name, fire.com, or marketing, or sorry, newfirecollective.com. But otherwise, it's just getting me an email. It's amy@nufirecollective.com. This is probably the easiest way because I don't know about you, but I think robots have taken over my phone and I get 45 voicemails a day. So
Oh,
please
it's
don't call me.
ridiculous.
I will never get
Do
it.
not call. You may email.
Yeah, because usually I'm like delete, delete, delete. But yeah, that's the best way. I'm constantly checking my email and I love getting on a Zoom call and talking to people and getting to know their story and who they are first. I really want to know who you are as a person
I
because
love
I
that.
don't work with everybody. I work with people that I see their mission and their vision and what they want to accomplish. And that means more to me than where are you at? What's your success rate? I could care less.
Yeah.
We
Well, that
What I
is
wanna do is
beautiful.
help something beautiful come into creation.
I love that so much. Well, Amy, thank you so much for spending your afternoon with me. I appreciate you and I appreciate this conversation. And I will talk to you soon.
Yes. Sounds great. Thank you for having me.
If this conversation moved you, inspired you, or made you think differently, please take a moment to leave a 5-star rating and review. It's not just about boosting the show, it's about amplifying the voices of women entrepreneurs who are leading with vision, building with purpose, and shaping what's next. We need more of these conversations in the world right now, don't you think? And if someone came to mind while you were listening, someone who matters to you, send this episode to them. If there's something on your mind about leadership, legacy, or what's next, I want to hear it. Head to sheleadsmedia.com/voice and leave a voice memo or note. Your insight might just help shape a future episode. Make sure to follow the show and come back next week for more conversations you won't hear anywhere else. Thank you so much for listening. This is the She Leads Podcast Network.